boy, back to horse stance. Combat horse stance, to be honest with you.
Okay. So you say you trained under Professor, studied under Professor Gatlin for 3 years, right? So how did you meet him? Like, how did that happen? How did that go down?
Well, I met him. He came with a brother named John Baxter from Manhattan to Brooklyn. All right. Now, John had a after-school program called Off the Corners. You know, like how we have Canva now?
Right.
Okay, back in those days, it was something called Off the Corners, and he had brought it to Brooklyn to help the youth in Brooklyn, people that wasn't latchkey kids or whatever like that. All right, so this is what this was. Now, he had brought not just Professor Gatlin. Professor Gatlin brought another guy named Zulu. Okay, so really, Professor Gatlin, I met him through, like I said, John Baxter, but Professor Gatlin also brought Zulu. So I was trained by Zulu and Professor Gatlin, all right, in what we call the sub-basement of the building of PS 92, where I work at, all right, public school, all right, so that's why it's after school program. So now, what had happened was Professor Gatlin was teaching, he had the toy on him, and he was teaching, he asked for some people, you know, as he do if you knew him back in the days, who think they're strong enough, come to me, he got something, let me show you. So one of my best friends and a martial artist, a young lady, she's a woman now, named Yvette, she was there. A guy named Steve, he was there. And the other 3 people, this was 32 years ago, I forget. It was a guy that had a wife, young dude, I keep thinking his name is Darren, forget his wife's name, and somebody else. And another martial arts instructor named Rufus. Okay? Now, Sarge taught them Toyka-Ryu on the stage of that building, in the auditorium. Like, he would stand on the floor, but they would be on the stage.
Right.
Okay. He would have them line up. The first thing he used to do was what they call a push-pull, but that's not what it was. It was a thrust. Why is it a thrust? Because this is a thrust, not a push and a pull. If I go like this, he used to make us stand here because he was a soldier. That's what we used to think. Roll your shoulders back. So that's arm your tension. Stomach in, shoulders out, chest out, right? Then he would tell you to take the toy like this. He'd have everybody stand like this, right here at where the line of your chest is. And then he'd say, with your stomach muscles, if y'all can imagine, with your mind, with your stomach muscles. Then he said, before y'all do that, put your hand on your stomach. So everybody had to stick like this, put the hand in the stomach. He said, through your nose, he said, I want you to inhale, but I want you to make your stomach expand like a balloon. So you had to get your mind around that. So we started going, if you notice, my stomach went out. Now he said, when you exhale, push your muscles of your stomach down. See how my hand got flat? See how my voice got deep? So force the air down. So you're learning to breathe with your stomach, Sanskrit breathing. You see, same breathing that they do in yoga. But that's not what he called it at the time because he wasn't into that. But we knew what it was, right? So now that you got the breathing down pat, 1 inch below your navel, right? You know that's what's pushing the toy. It's not your muscles. You're not going like this. A lot of people keep going, y'all puppies, but they go like this. That's not what we're doing. All right, so what he taught you to do from this point, you put your hand back up. Now you take that breath. Now you know your stomach going to go like this. So you go, right? Now usually in reality it's 3 seconds, 4 seconds. But for this, he make you open it and keep your arms close to your body. Not out like this, but close to your body. And then he just stand there and you just holding it. And he's like, hey, we're breathing out. We're going to pass out. Then he would go, breathe out, but take short breaths. But you got to constantly breathe out and pull the sticks apart. So at first I think it was like 30 seconds. Then he said, close it. Then everybody closed it. Then he said, open it again. He put his arm like this when we opened it, right on our chest. So when we opened, he went, he said, so wherever you breathe to, that's where the sticks stay. So if you went, and it stopped right there, you got to keep it and maintain the sticks to stay there. They can't fold, twist, they can't go, no, they got to stay right there. Then he would go down my arm, push down my push. And you go, with my breath, with your breath. Sounds slow because you're going, so look, my arm's going up because your shoulders go up. So it goes up just a little bit. Now he make you do the same thing he did with the other one. You just stand there until he said pull it back. Bro, that could be 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and now you can't touch it. So all that time, you're trying to maintain not letting it close and touch his arm. His arm is big. And now you got to go and suck back. All right? And then close. Now, the reason why that is not a push-pull, he used to call it the toy thrust. Everything we did was the toy was in front of it. That's called a toy thrust because, look, my breath went, that's a thrust that way. But when I came back, I sucked in. There's no strength. Now, the second thing he teaches you to hold it out from here. Right? You're holding it from there now. Now you go from there, out there, and then you go all the way back and hold that until he says close it. So now what is that? If I went from here and went, I'm pulling. The breath says now I have strength coming backwards. That's a pull. So when I pushed earlier, that was a thrust because I only went, the breath went forward that way. So it's called a thrust, right? And a reverse thrust. That's what he called it. The toy thrust, toy reverse thrust. So if you see me do a curl, it's the toy curl, right? When you see me do the bow and arrows, that's the bow and arrow. That's what he taught us, but it's the toy bow and arrow, the toy curl, the toy two-arm curl. You see? So, yeah, I just want people to know, yeah, when I met him, that's how we met him. Him and Zulu trained me downstairs because I want to get the story right. He did not train me in a fighting system, Toyka-Ryu. What he trained me in was, because of the way I was already moving, he trained me, all the moves that I know was self-defense. So he's teaching me Toyka-Ryu. And all the moves that he's teaching me, I can actually do. So that made it what? A defensive system. Because I could actually apply it. Then hence Zulu comes. Zulu is the one, when you guys see me hit the hammer, hit myself with the hammer. Zulu taught us a different type of breathing, to breathe and expand our body. But he used to kick the beams, the steel beams in the subway, and punch him with his knuckles, his forearms, his elbows, his head. He got like, he was terrible. But he taught us it's because of the way we breathe. And if you hit something as hard as you possibly can, that's how the pain won't go away. But if you don't commit, that's how you break your hand get fractured, you get hurt. But if you totally commit, you'll be all right. Okay? So he taught us the mind control of body hardening, right from the inside, how to utilize the air to make the body inflate, to make it solid. Right? Now, Professor Gatlin, on the other hand, what he taught us was how to control that air, to make it now like a shield. You see, his was more because it's stabilized. So if you hit us, it wouldn't really affect us as long as we keep the breathing pattern. Now, when we hit you, we would use Zulu's offensive breath, you see, to have the power to go outward. But like, what did Professor Gatlin say? Because Zulu taught us that, an offensive technique. Well, Professor Gatlin's toy, these two sticks and the rubber bands, helped us to what? Create an offensive technique system. Life preservation system. Because it can also help you when you're sick, because it'll make you sweat and purge out your sickness. If you had a toothache, you start pumping, you can start utilizing the toy. Really, if you do, I wouldn't even say pump it, but if you held it out in the stabilization hole, you'll be concentrating so much that if you had a toothache, your toothache would go away because you're concentrating on holding the sticks open without them coming apart. All right? So the sticks are your adversary. So that's why I said also, to me, it was a fighting system, kinda, but I say now that I'm older, self-defense system for me, because the adversary is the sticks, to keep them open, all right, and without letting them close. That's defeat. You gotta do all these positions and all the timing, and that to me was a fight, and you're fighting the sticks. So that's why the misnomer was a fighting system. No, it's not a fighting system. But I turned one of the exercises, the cross block, into a system called the cross technique. Now that's what I did. So again, all of this is an expression. But what everybody see me doing is an expression of my two teachers, Professor Gatlin and Zulu. So this is a combined Toyka-Ryu situation.
Okay.
All right.